Welcome guys to day 10 execution process group where planning meets action, delivering project success. This is actually where you're going to make your money. You're going to be executing the plan. And I want to say congratulations to making it here. I'm going to give you a congratulations every single day because that means you're committed to this process. You're dedicated. You're motivated. You want to better yourself. And I'm always here for people that want to better themselves. So thank you guys for making it this far and continue to push yourself because as we move through these 30 days, it's tough to learn this information, especially if you haven't been a project manager before and now you're learning it for the first time. It's tough to get through this and truly digest it. So if you're working through this, I applaud you. Continue to work and we'll get through this together. So some objectives for day 10. Understand the purpose and significance of the executing process group. Learn about key processes, including the direct and managed project work and managed quality. Explore the tools and techniques used during execution, and then prepare for situational and knowledge-based questions on execution. So the overview of the execution process group is the executing process group turns plans into reality. It involves coordinating people and resources, managing stakeholder expectations, and ensuring that the deliverables meet the project requirements. This is where most of the project's time, budget, and resources are consumed, right? This is where you get into the nitty-gritty. So key processes in the execution process group is direct and managed project work. And I know I have this image here down below. It's AI generated, don't judge me. I have this image down here below where it's kind of laying out how you would execute and you assign tasks, right? You've already assigned tasks. But where it says monitoring progress, you are going to do that during this. It's not a part of this phase, but it's done simultaneously. And we'll get into that tomorrow. So what is direct and managed project work? Well, the direct and managed project work process is where you, as a project manager, and your team actively work on the tasks that are meticulously planned. Imagine you are building a house. You created a detailed blueprint, determined what materials you need, hired skilled workers, and planned a budget. And now it's time for the construction to begin. The actual building, bricklaying, and plumbing, that's the equivalent of the direct and managed project work process in the project management itself. This process is more than just doing the work. It also includes tracking progress, gathering information, and solving problems, and implementing approved changes to ensure that everything moves according to plan. During this phase, deliverables are produced. And that's the most exciting part, is things are actually being produced. You've got past the planning phase, right? You already got, you got past the initiation. You got it approved to even start. Then you planned it all out. Right now you're planning it out, and then now you're actually executing your plan. This is where you're going to see whether or not you executed a well thought out plan or you half-aid a plan, and now you're sitting here with a whole bunch of change requests pending so that you guys can fix what you didn't plan for in the last phase. Inputs to direct and manage project work process, right? One, the project management plan, the thing that you utilized all last process group, thing that you utilized all last phase that you planned and you put a lot of effort into. You're going to use that as a guide in the execution phase. So it's a roadmap that tells you how to complete the project. It includes detailed subsidiary plans for the scope, schedule, cost, quality. That outlines how every aspect of the project should be managed. For instance, it tells the scope, what exactly is being worked on, the schedule, when tasks need to be completed, as well as the quality, what standards need to be met. And by following the project management plan, the project manager can ensure the team focuses on the right work, the right time, and the correct sequence. 2, approved change requests, right? Projects are often subject to change. Clients or stakeholders may request new features, or unexpected obstacles might mean that something must be done differently. Approved change requests are official requests that have been reviewed and approved through a formal change control process. These might include adding new features, altering existing tasks, or even adjusting the project schedule or scope, right? So, and then another input that you may see is EEFs and OPAs, right? EEFs, we've talked about this, external conditions that could affect your work, such as company culture, market conditions, regulations, technology, or available resources, right? An example is if a new government regulation is introduced, you might need to adapt to ensure the compliance. OPAs, templates, historical information, or organizational policies that can help in execution of the project, right? And so your organization might have a specific format for an issue log or guidelines for conducting project meetings. So you would utilize that to your advantage as you have those tools in your toolbox and they're already basically there ready to be used instead of you creating something new. So tools and techniques that you'll see during this phase: expert judgment. And like I said, expert judgment is going to be in every single process. Why? Because you need to utilize your SMEs. Expert judgment involves consulting experts or people who have specialized knowledge in certain areas of the project. For instance, if you're managing a construction project, you might consult a structural engineer to verify that the building design is feasible, right? And then two, project management information system. And this is one that you need to focus on because you will be utilizing this in today's day and age. A project management information system is a software tool used to manage all different aspects of the project. This could be a platform like Microsoft Project, Trello, or Jira. Tools that help you keep track of schedules, costs, resource allocation, and more. For example, through PMIS, you can track which tasks are complete, see what resources are being used, and communicate updates with the team. This software becomes critical in helping manage daily work, assess progress, and flag potential delays. And a lot of times, the stakeholders will have access to the same information that you do, and this will help them see exactly what's going on with the project. They can ask questions, gain some clarity, and then you guys can move forward from there. It's a good tool to utilize, as you know, most teams are utilizing it, and most systems are now implementing some type of AI system. Don't think about that right now, but as you start to get into your career, if you haven't already touched on it, look into it. 3, meetings, right? Meetings are vital to ensure everyone is aligned. In the direct and managed project work process, meetings can serve many purposes. Team meetings to discuss progress, upcoming tasks and challenges. Stakeholder meetings to provide updates and gather feedback. Problem-solving meetings to address any issues that arise during execution. And so meetings can help facilitate communication, solve problems on the spot, and ensure that everyone has the latest information, which is important, right? You guys have to be on the same page, because if you aren't, that's going to lead to scope creep. It's going to lead to mismanagement of expectations. You guys are going to execute work that essentially wasn't part of the scope, and it's going to be a whole mess. So 1, deliverables, output. Let me stop myself. Outputs from direct and managed project work process, right? You're going to have deliverables. Deliverables are finished products or services that result from work being executed. For example, if you're managing a website development project, deliverables might include completed web pages, working functions like search bar or contact form, right? And then work performance data. This refers to raw information collected as the work is performed. It includes data about the progress of tasks, performance against the schedule, costs incurred versus planned budget, and issues encountered, right? And then the issue log. You have an issue log that is used to record any problems, obstacles, and concerns that arise during the project. Issues might include anything from disagreements among stakeholders, technical problems that may delay progress, or lack of necessary resources. The project manager uses the issue log to keep track of the problems, assign responsibility for solving them, and monitor their resolution. This ensures that issues are addressed promptly and don't derail the project's progress. So, the importance of direct and managed project work is that it's a moment of truth for any project. Everything was planned but must now come to life. It's about getting your hands dirty and making things happen. This process transforms ideas into reality. It manages complexity by using tools like the PMIS, expert judgment, and effective meetings, right? And then in essence, the direct and managed project work is the core of project execution. It's about driving the project forward, making sure that the team produces deliverables that align with the understanding and managing, that align with the project's goals and respond effectively to real-time challenges that arise. Understanding and managing this process effectively is crucial for turning plans into successful outcomes. So 2, you have managed project knowledge. The managed project knowledge process is about leveraging the lessons learned from both past and ongoing projects to improve the quality of current and future work. So I'm gonna let you guess what the output for this is, but go ahead and guess and we'll move forward. What is management project knowledge? Or what is managed project knowledge? In a project, there are 2 types of knowledge that are essential. 1, explicit knowledge, and then tacit knowledge. Explicit knowledge is formal, codified knowledge that can be easily documented, such as procedures, manuals, and databases. Tacit knowledge is kind of personal knowledge, experiential knowledge that comes from someone's skills and experience. It's more difficult to convey because it's often learned through experience, such as troubleshooting a particular problem based on intuition, right? And so tacit knowledge is really what you're going to be looking for from these SMEs, right? Explicit knowledge is not something that you're going to go through and learn if you don't have to, right? Explicit knowledge is going to be more what you're gathering from your OPAs, right? Information that's already been codified for you to, or formal information that's been utilized previously or set up for you to use on your project. Tacit knowledge is what you're getting from your SMEs, and this is going to be the most not important knowledge, but this is going to be the most lucrative knowledge because it's going to help you gain a better understanding of how to move throughout your problems, how to plan, right? How to execute things when problems arise, right? What changes may need to occur should you have a problem arise. You may not even know, but your SME is going to be able to point you into the right direction because they have that tacit knowledge. The managed project knowledge process deals with both types. Its purpose is to facilitate the exchange of knowledge, to enhance the performance of the current project as well as future one, right? This process is all about capturing what works and what doesn't and why, and then using that information to guide future action. You want some water? That what you want? Thirsty, y'all. I'll be right back. Come on. You thirsties? You thirsties, baby? This? I know. Go ahead and get your water. Listen to that. Told y'all she was thirsty. Get to the point where you can read your dog's mind. And it's almost like they can read your mind, man. It's crazy. All right. So, key concepts in managing project knowledge. The managed project knowledge process is unique because it runs throughout the project lifecycle from initiation to closure. Why is it important? Well, in many organizations, people finish projects and immediately move on to the next one without documenting or sharing what they've learned. If you can utilize that for the next project, why would you not document it, right? So that you guys will have a head start or a heads up on potential problems or potential solutions. Man. So, did I already get into this? Where does the knowledge come from? Well, it comes from past projects and current experience, right? Previous projects serve as valuable sources of information. If you're starting a new project similar to the one that your organization completed last year, you can look at what worked well and what issues were encountered. Exactly what I just said. Current experiences. As the current project progresses, the team is constantly learning what approaches are effective, what obstacles arise, and how they can be best addressed. This knowledge should be documented and shared in real time, not just at the end of the project. Inputs that you'll see for this process is project documents, right? Deliverables, right? EEFs and OPAs. Read through this stuff because it's the same inputs that you'll see for most processes, but read through it for specific ideas of what you'll use it for managing project knowledge. And then tools and techniques for managing project knowledge is expert judgment. Like I said, expert judgment. And I'll give the example for this. This project involves software development. Experienced software developers might be consulted to understand the challenges encountered and how they were resolved, ensuring the knowledge is available for future projects, right? They're going to have that tacit knowledge, but then if they can put it and make it explicit knowledge, that's even better, right? Because now everybody has access to it and everybody will be able to understand it moving forward. And then two, knowledge management tools, right? Communities of practice, informal groups that meet regularly to share knowledge, workshops, right? Interactive sessions where team members will share their insights, both positive and negative. Information management tools, interpersonal and team skills. Yeah, these are some of the inputs. I mean, those are some of the tools and techniques that you would use. Outputs for managed project knowledge process. It's a lessons learned register, right? It's a dynamic document where project insights are documented throughout the project lifecycle, not just at the end. It captures both positive lessons and negative lessons. Example entries, you can read that down below. I'm not going to read that, but basically everything positively, everything that's went well, everything that's worked, every solution that you implemented that was positive will go on the lessons learned register. Every single issue that you ran into, right, will go on the lessons learned register. Every risk mitigation technique that you implemented that didn't mitigate the risk will go in the lessons learned register. Why? Because the more you document, the more people will be able to utilize that information for future projects. So, where is the lessons learned register used? It's used during the project. The lessons learned register is used to adjust work and improve processes on the fly. If something isn't working well, the team can learn from it and implement changes right away. At the end of the project, this register contributes to the lessons learned report, which becomes part of the organizational process assets available for future use by project team. Not necessarily yours, but everybody. And that's why it's important. So the benefits, right? Continuous improvement, right? Every project is to learn from the previous project. Avoiding repeating mistakes, which is the same thing, continuous improvement. Increased efficiency and effectiveness, right? Now that you know the information, you're able to be a little bit more efficient and effective at how you mitigate these risks, solving for problems that maybe you didn't even think of before looking at these OPAs that had the lessons learned register from previous projects. And then team empowerment, right? It gives you guys insights that are valuable, right? And they're already recorded. It motivates them to contribute to their knowledge, right? And contribute to adding to some of the organizational process assets that you have available to and other teams have available to them. And so in summary, the managed project knowledge process is about making sure that knowledge both from past projects and what is being learned in the current project gets collected, documented, and shared, right? So let's move into the third process within the execution phase. Acquire resources. The big one. It's not really the big. The acquire resources process is about ensuring that the project team has everything it needs to complete the work, both in terms of human resources, the people with the right skills and knowledge, and physical resources, materials, equipment, facilities. Without the necessary resources, even the best projects plans will fail because there simply won't be the capability to get the work done, right? You can have a plan, but if you don't have the capability to get the work done, if you don't have the capability to get the work done, you don't even got the right plan. That don't even make sense. Imagine you're preparing to go camping. You need to assemble a team with specific skills, like someone who knows how to set up a tent, someone who can navigate, or someone who can cook. In addition, you need physical items like tents, food supplies, and camping gear. The acquire resources process is similar. It's about making sure you have the right people and the right tools to achieve the project. Why is it important? Well, people and skills matter. The skills and expertise of your team members have a significant impact on how well the project is executed. For example, if you're working on a software development project, you need developers who are experienced in the technology you're using. 2, physical resources are essential. Equipment and materials are equally important. Imagine a construction project where the team does not have the necessary tools or raw materials arrive late. That would create delays and increase costs. 3, getting the right mix. The success of a project often depends on getting the right people at the right time and making sure they have everything they need to be productive, right? And so they all kind of link into one another when you talk about those 3 things, because you need the physical resources, you need the personnel, you need them at the right times, right? They need to be available for you, right? And the resources need to be available, right? And it's just a lot of things that need to go right. Inputs to acquire right resources process. Resource management plan, right? This plan defines how resources will be identified, allocated, and managed. It includes details of the kinds of resources required, quantities, and how resources will be acquired. It's like a shopping list that tells you what you need to successfully run the project. Project schedule, resource requirements, right? These outlines the human and physical resources needed for the project. For example, it may say that you need 3 software developers, 1 tester, and a server, and specific development tools. Tools and techniques that you'll see, decision making. Right? When acquiring resources, you often need to make decisions based off various factors such as experience, availability, cost, or location. Multi-criteria decision analysis helps by using a scoring system to evaluate and choose between different resource options. For example, when choosing team members, you might score candidates based on their skill levels, past experience, and availability. 2, negotiation. Often acquiring the right resources involved. I'm sucking right. Let me drink some coffee. I don't know if that helps. Negotiation. Often acquiring the right resources involves negotiation. This could be negotiating with financial or functional managers to get team members with the right skills, or negotiating with vendors for equipment. For instance, you may need to convince another department to let you use their expert for a month, which could involve discussions about how the resource will benefit both teams. That's important. In some cases, resources are pre-assigned, meaning that certain team members or materials have already been allocated to the project before planning even starts. For example, if a specific expert is promised to a critical project, they would be pre-assigned to the team. Outputs of acquire resource process is resource assignments, right? A document that documents which resources have been allocated to which tasks. This includes both team members and physical resources. A resource calendar, right, indicating the availability of each resource, and that's usually for personnel. It may be for materials that may not be in stock, right? And then you're talking to manufacturers or vendors who may have it at a certain particular time, and you got to make sure you align that right. And the next process that we're getting into, because that concludes that one, is managed quality. So the managed quality process is all about making sure that the work being done and the deliverables being produced meet the quality standards set out in the project. It's not just about checking the final deliverable, it's about ensuring quality throughout the project. This is often referred to as quality assurance. And so here's the difference between them, and I'm going to give you the 2 definitions. Quality control is like a chef tasting the dish before serving it, making sure everything is perfect. Quality assurance is about ensuring that the recipe is followed correctly, the ingredients are of high quality, and the cooking process is designed to prevent mistakes. Managed quality is like making sure that the cooking process itself is so perfect that the mistakes are avoided from the very beginning. And really what this is getting at, and the reason why you have this and you're managing the process itself, is because as you hand this off, right, this is a project, it's finite, it has an ending. As you hand this off, you want to make sure that the process that you have followed can be replicated, because if it can't be replicated, then the operations manager and the operations system is going to fail because you haven't successfully created. Well, I'm not saying they're going to fail. They're going to have to figure it out for themselves, right? And they're going to have to solve that problem when it should have been a problem that was solved during the project, right? You guys want to make sure that everything that you're producing is high quality, and you have a process that can be replicated, right? And doesn't have as many variances, as it stays within a specific variance threshold that you determine is acceptable, specifically with your SMEs and stakeholders. Why is it important, right? Why is managed quality important? It prevents defects, right? Instead of finding defects at the end of the project, managed quality aims to prevent defects from happening in the first place. Process improvement. This process also looks for ways to make sure that the entire project works more efficiently. By examining how tasks are being done, the team can identify opportunities for improvement. And 3, aligns with stakeholder expectations. Stakeholders have expectations about the quality of the project deliverables. By managing quality effectively, you make sure that what's delivered aligns with those expectations. Tools and techniques for managing quality. Quality audits, right, are formal reviews of the project to check whether it complies with the quality standards and processes defined in the quality management plan. 2, process analysis. Examines project processes to identify improvements. And then 3, root cause analysis. Sometimes defects or issues occur despite all efforts. In such cases, root cause analysis is used to determine why a problem happened and to make sure it doesn't happen again. For instance, if a deliverable didn't meet quality standards because of misunderstanding of requirements, root cause analysis can reveal the communication processes need to be improved. Output that you're going to see, quality reports, right? Summarizing information about quality management activities. An example of this is a quality report for software project might highlight that 90% of the code complies with the quality standards, but also point out areas where improvements are needed. 2, test and evaluation documents. These are documents that describe how testing will be conducted and how results will be evaluated. They ensure that the deliverables are meeting quality requirements. That's going to be you're going to test your project, your product and your deliverables for quality. So you're definitely going to use that. If something fails a quality check, it's going to have to go through and we're going to have to reevaluate how the process was carried out, but also the materials used, the personnel used, and determine whether or not we need to fix something. The acquire resources process makes sure that the project has everything it needs, both in terms of human resources and the acquire resources processes make sure that the project has everything it needs, both in terms of human resources and physical resources to get the job done. 5, development team, or develop team. 5 is develop team process. It's all about building a strong, cohesive, and skilled project team. It focuses on improving team competency. So why is it important? It improves team performance. It encourages collaboration and communication, right? It handles challenges better, right? You have to develop your team. A well-developed team can handle challenges, setbacks, and stress more effectively. That's just true. These are things that I know you know because you're a leader and you want to be a leader currently. So you've seen these things. You have to develop your team members. You have to develop them so that they can be better for not only themselves and their futures, but better for the project that you're working on together. Tools and techniques for developing the team. Training, right? Training involves providing team members with opportunities to learn new skills or improve existing. This is one that you can use time and time again. You'll usually get like on-the-job training or mentoring and use that as a resource. Team building activities, right? They're designed to foster a sense of unity and collaboration within the team. They can range from simple icebreakers to more elaborate exercises like problem-solving games or team retreat, right? You use these things so that you guys can be on the same page. You guys can build a connection with one another. You have to have a team that works together well. 3, co-location, a war room, right? If you guys are usually working apart, you're remote. Thank you to the year of 2020, because that opened the door for all things remote. But co-locating can help you be more effective as a team, right? Because now you guys are communicating on a higher level. You guys are with each other. This is called war room, by the way. You'll see problems and questions like this on the PMP exam. Make sure that you understand what it is. But co-location involves bringing the team members physically together in the same workspace for a duration of the project or a specific period. This helps you be more effective, right? When you're face to face, it's a little bit easier to tackle problems together, but also get across what you're trying to convey. 4, recognition and rewards, right? Recognizing individual and team achievements help motivate team members and encourage them to continue working hard. And then 5, individual and team assessments. Assessments are used to identify team members' strengths, weaknesses, and preferences, as well as the overall dynamics. Outputs that you'll see from this process is team performance assessment. These assessments provide insights into how well the team is working together and how their skills and capabilities are developing. They evaluate factors such as team dynamics, individual contributions, and overall team performance. And then change requests. If during the process of developing developing the team, the project manager identifies the need for additional resources, changes to the plan, project plan, or adjustments to team assignments. A change request may be submitted for that. Getting into 6, managed communications, right? Managed communications process is critical for ensuring that the right information reaches the right people at the right time. Effective communication can make the difference between the project's success and failure. The process is about creating, collecting, distributing, storing, and retrieving project information. And this is because you want all stakeholders to be informed and engaged throughout the project lifecycle. So why is it important? Ensures stakeholder alignment, right? Improves decision making, right? When stakeholders and team members receive accurate and timely information, they can make better decisions that help move the project forward. It also addresses concerns quickly. Effective communication helps identify and address issues before they escalate into big problems. If you can get more people on this problem to solve, especially if you can't solve it as a project manager, or you don't have the resources available to solve it, if you can get more eyes on it, if you can get more ears on it, you'll be able to solve the problem quickly. And address it before it escalates to something that you can't control, or not even the stakeholders can control. Tools and techniques for managing communications, right? Communication technology. This refers to tools used to distribute information, which can include emails, video conferencing, instant messaging, or collaborative work platforms like Slack or Microsoft Teams. Communication methods, interactive communication, real-time exchanges like meetings or phone calls, push communication, sending information without expecting immediate feedback like emails or newsletters, and then pull communication, making information available for stakeholders to access at their convenience, like shared documents on a drive. And so those 3 things, communication methods, are going to be on the PMP exam. They're going to be in questions that you have to think about. How should you communicate with this stakeholder based off of this information, right? What type of communication is this based off of how this information is being, how the stakeholder is receiving this information, right? These are types of questions that you'll see in the PMP exam. And then communication models. Describe the flow of the information and how it's used to ensure that the intended message is received and understood correctly, right? And then meetings. Regular meetings are held to facilitate interactive communication, update stakeholders, and discuss issues and progress. Outputs that you see as project communication includes the actual information being distributed to stakeholders and team members. Remember that we're in the execution phase, so things are actually happening during these processes. You're giving communications. You're giving communications. You're giving information to these stakeholders, and through whatever way of communication they want to receive it through. And so, yeah, you're doing this during the execution phase, and it's a very important topic, very important process that you must manage, that you must pay attention to, that you want to give some level of thought to as you move throughout this chapter, because it will be on the PMP exam, and it will be a large portion. If you're not in the project management space already, it will be a large portion of what you do during the execution phase. So, moving to the 7th process. This is a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a lot. If you want to take a break right now, go ahead and take a break. I'm gonna take a break. Coffee break. I'm not gonna take a break. 2 seconds. But if you want to stop the video, go ahead and stop the video. Take a break. Reset. Get you a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Take a little stretch. Get your mind right. It's hard to focus. I know these are long videos. I want you guys to get the most out of this, and so I want to move through this as quickly as possible without doing you a disservice, if that makes sense. I don't want to harp on information. I think my wife just got home. Mommy just got home. Go downstairs. Go ahead. Let me check. It was nothing. We're going to get through this. So, implement risk responses, right? Why are you implementing risk responses? Why is it important? Well, proactive risk management, right? Managing risk isn't just all about identifying them. It's about taking concrete actions to either mitigate these threats or capitalize on your opportunities. And this is the thing. Risk responses and implementing them, it can be a positive thing, right? It could be opportunities. We don't talk about that often, but it can be an opportunity that you want to seize, right? And more often than not, it's something that you want to mitigate, but it can be an opportunity. It also improves project resilience. By implementing risk responses promptly, the project team can minimize negative impacts and seize opportunities. It supports better decision making, right? Executing planned risk responses helps keep the project on track, providing a clear course of action in case of a risk event occurring. So tools and techniques that you'll see used, obviously we don't have the inputs here, using the same type of inputs that you would use previously. But you want to use expert judgment, interpersonal and team skills, as well as the PMIS systems, right? PMIS systems can help track the status of the risk response actions. For instance, it can be used to monitor whether the resources needed for a risk response are allocated on time. And so you'll use the PMIS system within whatever organization that you work within. But these are some of the things that you want to use. Obviously, expert judgment every single time. Outputs of the implement risk response process: change requests, right? So sometimes implementing risk response means that changes to the project scope, schedule, budget, or other project documents are necessary. A change request is submitted to formally document these changes. And then you also have updates to the risk register, right? The risk register is a dynamic document that records all identified risks. Their potential impact, plan resources, and current status, or plan responses and current status. As risks are addressed, the risk register is updated with information on what actions have been taken and any outcomes. So an example is, if a risk response for a delayed shipment is executed successfully, the risk register will be updated to indicate that the risk has been mitigated. And so that's important, right? You have to update personnel, stakeholders, team members as these risks are being mitigated and their effects. The eighth process, conduct procurements process, right? The conduct procurements process involves working with external suppliers or vendors to obtain goods, services, or resources necessary for the project. This process includes all activities related to engaging suppliers, negotiating contracts, and selecting vendors, right? So imagine you're hosting a large event. You need a caterer, a florist, and someone to provide audio-visual services. You don't have all the resources in-house, so you need to reach out to external vendors, evaluate their proposals, and sign contracts to ensure everything you need is ready for the big day. So why is it important? Well, it ensures resource availability, right? It ensures that resources are sourced in a timely and a cost-effective manner. It also minimizes risks with contracts. Contracts provide legal protection for both parties, specifying what is expected by when and at what cost, and then supports cost control. By negotiating contracts effectively, the project manager can control costs and ensure that the project budget is maintained. Tools that you'll see for conducting procurements: this will also be in the PMP exam for sure. Bidder conferences, right? Bidder conferences are meetings held with potential vendors before they can submit their bids. This ensures all vendors have a clear understanding of the requirements and can ask questions. It also ensures fairness, as all bidders receive the same information. Example of this is, if you're procuring software development services, you may invite interested vendors to a bidder conference to clarify the project scope, answer their questions, and ensure all proposals are aligned with your expectations. 2, proposal evaluation, right? Once bids or proposals are received, they must be evaluated against a set of criteria such as cost, experience, quality, and ability to meet deadlines. This ensures the best vendor is selected for the project. And so what you're seeing here, right, is you'll see things. If you don't know what this is, get comfortable with it. Request for quote, request for proposals, right? RFPs, RFQs. These are things that you're going to see more often than not. And the proposals, right, are a little bit more in depth because they talk about your experience, talk about the costs. Hold on. I apologize. My dog is 8-week-old. He's crying himself to sleep. It's 11 o'clock at night right now, so he needs to go to bed. I'm not going to take him out. So I apologize for if you hear him whining. So outputs for the conduct procurement process, right? You have selected sellers, right? Once all proposals have been evaluated, selected sellers are the vendors or suppliers that have been chosen to provide goods or services. An example of this is, after evaluating several proposals, you select a software development company that has the best experience, pricing, and schedule fit for your project, right? And then you have your agreements that are going to be the outputs from this conduct procurement process, which the agreements are formal contracts that define the responsibilities, deliverables, timelines, and payment terms for each selected seller. Right? These agreements protect both parties and set clear expectations. Now, one of the things that we're not going to go through here that I do want you to research, I want you to stop and really think about, is you need to understand the different types of contracts that come with procurement, right? I'm not going to get into them. There's a lot of them, but I want you to go back, look through the terms that are provided in the flashcards, research the different types of procurement process or procurement contracts that you can have or utilize, and learn them, because they're going to be on the PMP exam. I didn't want to list them here because it's a lot of information, right? I'm asking you to digest a lot of information, and that might be a little bit too much right now for you to just get I want you to get the high level overview and then get into the weeds after you understand what this is. So moving into the last process group that we'll cover. Obviously, this isn't the last one of the execution group, but this is the last one that we'll cover. Make sure that for the other two that you go ahead and you gain some more information through the PMBOK. You look at the ITTOs. It's going to lay that out for you. But without further ado, we're going to get into the ninth one. So manage stakeholder engagement, right? So the managed stakeholder engagement process focuses on keeping stakeholders engaged, informed, and supportive throughout the project lifecycle. It's about building and maintaining good relationships with stakeholders to align their expectations with the project goals and ensure that their needs are being met, right? You have to engage with your stakeholders throughout this process. And the stakeholders are everybody, right? It's the development team, it's the people, the sponsors, right? It's your product owner, it's the customers, depending on essentially what project you're working on. And so it's important that you engage with them often, let them know what's going on, right? Get their feedback so that you guys create a project and the project benefits realization package is on par for what they expected. So why is managed stakeholder engagement important? Well, it reduces resistance. Engaging stakeholders throughout the project helps reduce resistance to changes or issues that may arise, right? When stakeholders feel involved and heard, they are more likely to support project decisions. And this is a reoccurring theme where you see us talking about engaging stakeholders and making sure they're aligned with what we're doing. Number two, it ensures alignment, and three, it fosters collaboration, right? When people feel like they're a part of a project, they're more likely to approve of what you're doing, any type of changes that you may implement, right? Or put forth because they feel involved. Tools and techniques for managing stakeholder engagement. So communication skills, right? Effective communication is crucial for engaging stakeholders. This includes listening to their concerns, providing clear updates, and using appropriate channels for each stakeholder, right? Each person may want to be talked to or pushed information in a certain way. And whether you're pushing them information or whether they're pulling information from you, right? It's important that you are utilizing the channel that they want. So an example for this is a senior executive might prepare a concise report highlighting progress toward business goals, while for team members, more detailed updates may be necessary, right? So you're going to use a different strategy for different stakeholders. Two, interpersonal and team skills, right? Skills like conflict management, negotiation, and building trust are crucial when managing stakeholder engagement. It's the same for talking with your team, right? You guys are going to have to figure out how to be effective at communicating your ideas in a manner that others can receive it. And you should be able to be adults, but sometimes, as you know, some people stoop down to be a little kids, and you're going to have to play the mediator and determine how to move or navigate the relationship between stakeholders, between your development team and stakeholders. And when I say that, I mean people that are sponsors, people that are high-level executives, and the development team. That's what I mean. And then three, ground rules, right? Establishing ground rules helps manage expectations for behavior and communication. These guidelines ensure stakeholders understand the protocols for meetings, discussions, and decision making. Outputs for this is you're going to have the stakeholder engagement plan. As the project progresses, the stakeholder engagement plan may need to be updated, reflected, changed in order to meet stakeholder needs, interests, and influence. Right? These updates help ensure that the engagement strategies remain effective. So, with that being said, the implement risk response process is all about putting your risk management plans into action, addressing threats and opportunities effectively. It results in change requests and project adjustments are needed, and updates to the risk register to track status of the risk management process or activity. The conduct procurement process involves, and this is basically, I'm not going to read through all this because I'm looking at it now. It's basically a summary of each process group and how they effectively run into the execution phase itself. So I'm not going to read through this. I want you guys to read through this, gain an understanding of it, and then we'll move into the common tools and techniques in execution, right? PMIS system. Why is that first? Because it's imperative that you guys understand the software tools that you have within your organization, which software tools you're utilizing, become an expert in those, because it's going to help you manage schedules, resources, and project data. And these examples are like Microsoft Project or Jira help track task progress. That's important because you can provide that information to stakeholders and they can pull from it, right? And gain an understanding as you guys are progressing without you actually having to push information. Two, interpersonal and team skills, right? Leadership, negotiation, and conflict resolution are critical for team collaboration, not only for your development team, but for your engagement with stakeholders. So you're gonna have to be able to have some interpersonal skills and be a conflict resolutor, be somebody who can play the middle ground, understand their needs, and kind of bring stakeholders together sometimes in order to get a scope that makes sense for both of them, one that they can agree on, one that they can compromise on, and push forward. Because what you don't want is a hang up and something like the scope, which is gonna stop you from planning, right? Or if you need to make an adjustment through a change request in the middle of the execution phase, like you need that stuff to move quickly in order for you to stay on schedule or stay on budget. And then three, quality audits, right? Structured reviews to ensure deliverables meet quality standards. An example of this is checking all testing protocols were followed for a new product, right? As you're moving through the execution phase, you need to assure that the quality is aligned with what was stated in the project management plan, right? And if it's not, based off of the next phase that we'll get into, which is monitoring and controlling, then you're gonna have to make a change request. You write that in the issue log, you make a change request, and it's gonna come up and come around, and you're gonna have to execute it again then figure out a different way to solve that problem. Challenges in the execution process group that you'll see is scope creep, right? Uncontrolled changes to the project scope that will derail progress. Resource conflicts, right? Competing demands for resources may hinder project execution, right? Whether or not personnel are there on time, ready to move, right? They're actually completing the work in the time frame they say they can complete it in, right? You're able to get resources from your vendors on time, right? The right resources, the correct resources to the correct specifications. And then like stakeholder misalignment, right? Stakeholders may push for changes that conflict with the project goals. And so you need to make sure that they're aligned, they understand what the project scope is. And if they have a problem with it, then we need to go back to the drawing board and issue a change request to the proper channels for that to be changed and for you to be for that to be changed and be pushed down for you to execute. So we're finally at the practice scenarios. Like I said before, I want you to go through the scenarios yourself. You're going to read through the scenario questions, think about how you would answer it, and then look at the answer insight afterwards. The answer insight is just there to provide a base for what PMI is looking for when essentially answering questions, right? And so you guys want to be aligned with PMI mindset. And that's the most important thing when going through these questions, is trying to align yourself with the PMI mindset. Once you have the mindset, you can answer almost any question. And with that, once you finish those 2 scenarios, you'll go into the practice questions. I'm going to actually link the practice questions on my page. So as you finish this and you finish these questions, you'll see how I actually went through and answered some of these questions. I don't want to go through it within this. This is already a long video, but as you go through these and you finish them, if you want to look back and see how I answered them, if it's going to help you, then go ahead and look at the other page and other playlists that I have that has all the questions on it. And then we're finally here at the end of day reflection. Execution is where the project takes shape, but it also demands vigilance and adaptability. Reflect on past experiences, right? How effectively did your team manage quality, risks, and communications during execution? Were deliverables produced efficiently and aligned with expectations? Tomorrow, we'll explore the monitoring and controlling process group, focusing on tracking performance and managing changes. And so you'll see what and how the monitoring and controlling process group affects the execution phase and aligns with the execution phase as they are done simultaneously. And if you still want to study, we have the processing map game down below, the QR codes there, as well as the flashcards with terms that you should understand. And you shouldn't just look at the flashcards, right? It's through Quizlet, so you'll be able to do tests, right? Match keywords to definitions. Use those different types of study tools in order for you to learn these terms, because it's important that you do learn them as we move through each day. The faster you learn those terms and understand them, the more you'll be able to digest as we go over this information each day. So without further ado, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 11. Peace.